Hello everyone, welcome to today's podcast. I'm Shrestha Mishra. I'm a XLRI student pursuing PGDM Business Management here. Today we are joined by Mr. Satyaki Mookerjee, a seasoned digital transformation leader with over 25 years of experience over energy, automotive, consulting and other industrial sectors. He currently serves as the Chief Digital Officer at Jio-bp, where he drives the company's digital strategy at the intersection of technology, sustainability, and customer experience. An engineer by training and an XLRI general management graduate, he has held leadership roles at CEAT, Accenture, IBM, and Tata Hitachi. He is widely respected for championing data-led decision-making, AI adoption, and building strong digital-first teams. Without further ado, let's dive into his journey, insights, and vision for the future of digital in India's evolving industries. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
It's a pleasure, sir. So, sir, you work at Jio-bp, and it's an energy sector. When we think about a digital officer, we usually think about technological companies who primarily work in the technology sector. Yeah. So, sir, how is it that digital merges with an energy sector company?
Okay, fantastic question. So if you really see, we are a mobility player. Okay, we position ourselves as a mobility player, not as an energy company. All right, we serve the mobility needs of consumers. Okay. Now, mobility needs can be met in various ways, and then our customers could be B2C, B2B, and any value that you drive to the customers today. Digital is the real backbone of value delivery. And maybe I'll give you just an example just to drive the point, right? So let's say one of our core value propositions is quality and quantity, Q and Q. Now, for example, if I'm giving fuel as an example, each consumer would have an apprehension that is my quality of fuel up to the mark? Has it been tampered? Is there a pilferage? Is there a dilution in the supply chain? Am I getting the right quantity? And obviously, they will want that same delivery with highest uptime and reliability of the equipment when they go there. How do you achieve it? You can only achieve it at a minimal cost point or an optimal cost point when you have increased your efficiency levels as well as put those digital interlocks and monitor them in real time and not manually, but through digital systems, tools, platforms, and intelligence powered by AI to be able to give that kind of service. So it could be energy, it could be any other domain, but digital as a technology, digital AI and the emerging tech is at the heart of any solution or a customer service delivery.
Right, sir, that makes sense. So you mentioned about Q and Q as a core philosophy at the digital sector there. So can you elaborate more about what this is and how, what kind of technological practices lead to Q and Q? By that I mean, do we do forecasting or do we read some older data, or how does it work exactly?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let's understand the overall ecosystem there. So if whether I'm a B2B or whether I'm a B2C, as a consumer, what do I want? That when I go there, at the time of my going, the equipment will be reliable enough so that they are up and running. If I'm on a highway, I will not be left in the lurch. If I am fueling my car or I am charging my EV, I am actually getting what I need without any compromise on my quality levels. Now, how do we do that? We are sitting in a head office several hundreds of miles away. Right. How do you do that? Obviously, through an IoT ecosystem. How do you connect it devices? And then you say, okay, how do I make sure that my equipment are up and running? Now, even before somebody, let's say, calls up and says, hey, you know what, your equipment is down. So is there a way we can find that out, the reliability of your system? And if something has gone wrong, is there a way of finding what went wrong in a remote manner? without sending a person at the site.
Understood.
So even, and when you do that, we have to sell our services or we deliver our services at an optimal cost point. So when you do that, you cannot have hundreds of people doing this monitoring. You have to have touchless, intelligent agents who monitor this in real time, so that if something goes wrong, then that is delivered, so that there is a auto analysis, and then there is a
Rectification of
intelligent self-heal to the extent possible.
Right.
To the extent possible, because not everything you can actually do a remote self-heal.
Makes sense.
And therefore, this is just one example. Of course, there are many where we are using or we are aspiring to use AI for a better quality. We will talk about that later, but this is just to give you a snapshot of.
Sure, sir.
An
Great
example.
insights, sir. I think everyone listening to the podcast will be very interested after hearing about this. Sir, I read about you and I understand you have worked in the consulting sector as well.
Sure.
So, being a digital leader in a consulting sector and then at an energy sector, is there a difference, or what kind of technological differences do you see in both these industries, or how are they similar in your opinion?
So let's talk of what is similar and what is
Alright.
different. Okay.
Works.
So whether you are in the consulting domain or whether I'm here, I'm eventually solving a business problem. Okay.
Yeah.
As a consultant, I'm serving the business of a client. And even here as a chief digital officer, I'm solving problems of my business, the company where I work. So the method of problem identification doesn't change. The method of business case creation doesn't change. The method of problem to solution identification doesn't change. So a large part of that is very similar, with the only exception, not exception, the difference is when I come on this side, on the business side of things, I'm responsible for end-to-end vision of the digital vision, the value that I deliver, because that's my ownership at the end of the day. When I was in the consulting industry, or in Accenture when I was there, I was not the one who was the owner of the vision of the client, right? The client owns their vision.
Understood. Yeah.
The client owned their business case. Eventual accountability was always with the client. Now, when I'm sitting on this side of the table, you can understand the roles have switched.
Yes.
So I am responsible for the overall end-to-end value to the business case, the finances, who will deliver, the partner strategy, the talent strategy, the architecture strategy. So how do I modernize from where we have and then where we have to go? Starting from the end vision, right? So starting from end vision, working backward, that and finding out what competitive differentiation do I bring in,
right,
through my technology platforms and choices. That's what I own today. The technology would not be any different. There are multiple technologies available.
Yeah.
Whether you're doing it sitting on that side of the business or this side, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, all right. That's good to know, sir. So throughout working in multiple industries, has it happened that your philosophy as a leader or as a digital leader has changed at some point, or you have accepted different methods in different industries? Something about that, if you could share.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you some interesting insights about what I found different. Okay. So let me start with, so let me say what is very consistently similar. The technical part is very similar. The more you go to the back end of the technology, whether you do that in a retail industry or whether you do the back end, the clouds, the networks, they seem to be a lot similar because that's the infra level or that's the technology level, right? Or for example, which the data layer would be common, whether you use in the retail industry or whether you use in any other industry. Of course, the configuration, the sizing, that could be different depending on where you work. What would be very different would be the nature of the problems and the skills that are needed. For example, if you are in a consumer-facing industry, where we are now, where you are using an app, right?
Correct.
The user experience, not just the app, but the user experience design becomes extremely important. Okay?
Right.
So user experience again doesn't mean that it has to be only an app. It is the starting right from the point you engage till the point that the whole customer journey. What is the experience of the customer, whether it is digital or whether it is physical? That entire journey is a lot more important than if I was doing a more manufacturing or a procurement transformation,
Right.
where, of course, I will think from a user persona and I would I will implement, but the need to engage a persona designer, or to say the need to get an experienced designer who understands the pulse, the psychology, is a lot more higher when you're engaging with a end consumer segment. But if you, let's say, do a switch on core manufacturing, like for example, when I was in my earlier company, CEAT,
Okay.
the problems were a lot more domain-centric. It were multidisciplinary. For example, if you are doing a forecasting, an AI-based forecasting of a product quality, or you are trying to understand what factors caused certain defects in the product, you need to understand how the product has been made. You need to understand the chemistry. So when you are doing, let's say, feature engineering of an AI algorithm, you would need an expert who understands the chemical side of things as well, not just AI. So there is a multidisciplinary team that would be necessary with much more deeper domain understanding to be able to solve those problems. Whereas the more you go on to the consumer ends, of course, you have data science and you have the people with experienced designers and the AI architects, but you also need the experience end starting with the end persona in mind. So while the process is similar, but there are relative stress or importance on certain aspects in terms of the skills that you need, the talent that you need to kind of drive these transformations.
All right. I think that was very helpful for us as MBA students when we go out, we work in different sectors. I think this insight is really helpful for us when we are working in different industries. So moving to your academic career. So you have also studied at XLRI, the General Management program. Coming back to XLRI now and looking at the campus, looking at the students, how does it feel, first of all, on a personal level? And what do you think has changed in the campus or in the environment as you see it today?
Oh, well, I mean, it always feels to be at home, right? So there is always a nostalgia. That's my alma mater, so there's always a nostalgia. There is always a sense of gratitude. Gratitude in the sense, what I am today, whatever little I would have achieved, a lot of that spark got generated here. The kinds of debates that we used to have with the professors, the kind of case presentations. The learning has been extremely experiential, conversational, and I think even then it was very use case driven or business case driven, case study driven.
Yes.
It is even now. Of course, the nature, some of the pedagogy would have undergone a little bit of change, but where I see, of course, there's a point of convergence is the students, and I think the professor was talking about earlier in the address, that there is a need for a lot more interaction between the academia, the college and the industry, so that we could play back or share some of the real business problems that we are solving, so that the students get a more real hang. I mean, I think during my time, we probably had more case studies that were created by the professors. What would be a lot more helpful For example, I'll give you some examples. When I reflect back, when I look back, so let's say you are doing production management, and we had a paper, production management, and you read optimization algorithms, operations research, you read
Yes.
that, right? Now, when I went back to Tata Motors that time, and rather Tata Hitachi, when I kind of
Yes.
went back, I was thinking, where should I apply this algorithm? Now, very little did I know that these algorithms may not be directly applicable, or what kind of platforms do you want to choose.
All right.
So what is very important is, when we are having some of these interactions, is to not just, of course, theoretically teach, but also have that kind of a practical, problem-based solutioning,
Right.
so that the students now can probably learn and be much more prepared than we were when you are jumping into the professional career.
Makes sense, sir. Then I think that would be very useful. And in fact, at XLRI now, the way of teaching that professors have, we do talk a lot about how we will apply the concepts in the industry.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, we get that insight now, and maybe in the future we can
Yeah.
increase that as well.
In fact, you asked me the other point. How is the camp? I love this. This is a beautiful campus. So when we were there in Jamshedpur, so I studied in Jamshedpur.
Yes, sir.
And it was lovely then. I had the opportunity of going back to XLRI about 1.5 years back. That was for another conclave. There's a much more expansion. But when I see the NCR campus, it's lovely. I mean, lovely to see the infrastructure, the hostels and the academic buildings, the large sprawling buildings. So amazing, feels so good to be here.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here, sir. So, sir, just one last thing. We as MBA students are always looking for opportunities to learn more insights from leaders.
Yeah.
We want to understand how to think like leaders, how to act like leaders. So in that line, do you have any words of advice for the MBA students here and all over who are watching this podcast? Anything you want to share with us you would want future leaders to inculcate?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things. Of course, it's hard to put that in a module, but I think one of the things as leader is, I'll call out a few things. So, how can you be more humane as a leader? It's very important that we take ownership for our decisions, and we stand by our people in the difficult times, because it's a very fast-changing world. It's an uncertain world. People will not have a crystal ball to gaze in future. It is quite possible that the decision that you make today, sometimes it may not really be successful in future, because you may not know. For example, we drive a lot of AI projects, right? Now, not all my AI projects have been successful. Some have failed as well, or taken longer time. I wouldn't say failed. It has taken more time than we anticipated, because it's a new evolving area. Not everybody understands. Only when you go through the journey, you understand the real issues. So I'm just giving one example. There could be different dimensions to it, but that uncertainty part still remains. The point is, how do you convince your leaders? I mean, for example, if I am a leader, I have to understand the risk it takes, the uncertainty it involves, and then protect my team, guide my team, and back the team if something goes wrong, for example. Because when you take risks, not every decision may actually turn out to be successful. Right. So that is one dimension of backing your team, standing by them. The other part that I would say as a leader is, how do you maintain your calmness in trying circumstances? Because you will work with different parts of the organization. It can be vertically structured. It can be in a matrix organization. Right. It can be very informal structures. You may be working with different parts of a larger conglomerate who neither you are reporting to them, nor they are reporting to you, but you are interdependent on each other. They are your peers. You still need to get the work done.
Right.
So ability to maneuver, build trustworthy relationships, and yet have difficult conversations. Trustworthy relationships doesn't mean you will not have difficult conversations. So, and that holds true not just for colleagues, but also people who are a part of your team. So how do you do that, yet not lose your cool?
All right.
I think that's another part I would say. It doesn't come naturally always. We have to practice and we have to
Practice it.
learn,
Yes.
right? So I would say that is another part. And remain as objective as possible. How do you take decisions which are more objective, less emotion driven?
All right.
I would say that also helps to helps to bring clarity in thinking and decision making when there is a lot of clutter around, a lot of information being thrown to you. How do you focus on the crux of the issue when so much is being thrown at you, noise going around?
Right.
Is another, I think, is another attribute I would say
Right.
for a leader to have. Of course, there are many more, but I thought of bringing out these three.
Yeah, that's actually something that we can take forward, being humane and still being objective, making sure you do not lose the goal, but also understand the circumstances
Yeah.
better. So very insightful, sir, and it was great having you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you.